Welcome to WO50, the podcast where women over 50 embody wisdom and wellness.
Hi, I'm Eddi, and I'm here with my BFF, Corinne. And today we touched on happiness and hormones.
It was a good conversation, Eddi. Hormones are so important. They rule our life.
Oh, totally. It was great. We talked about oxytocin and the dirty dozen foods and the clean 15. We talked about intimacy and those sensitive subjects. It was cool.
Nice. Good. We hope you enjoy the conversation as much as we had talking about it. Hi, Eddi.
Hi, Ken.
How are you this week?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little bit tired. Had a friend's daughter's wedding past week, and it was like it was not a Hindu wedding, but it was like everybody arrived Tuesday and there's still people here. It's Monday and people are still here. And actually one person is still here. And so but it was great. It was wonderful. And but just it's a lot of activity.
Yeah. Same here. Lots of moving stuff and things and people but all good.
Yeah. All good.
Yes. It's all good.
We're not going to complain today.
No complaining today.
No complaining. Remember from Ted Lasso. Did you watch the last Ted Lasso?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Did you cry?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that show. It's so positive and it's uplifting, and every single person I know that has watched it have loved it.
I know. I've had to talk so many people into it, especially when they first started before, but even people who don't know it now. Well, what's Ted Lasso? And I'm like, only the most positive, wonderful show on the planet.
Absolutely. The writing, the characters, just the storyline. I mean, it's really well done. It's like,
so
top
good.
shelf. That's what
Top
they say.
shelf.
It's top shelf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We all need more positivity.
Yes. And which it ties right into what we're going to talk about today. Happy hormones.
Oh, happiness and hormones. It doesn't seem like it goes together.
Well, they do once you learn to balance them, because every person going into menopause, they go, oh my God, I'm bloated. I have no sex drive. I can't sleep. I'm hot flashing. I'm night sweating. I'm a wreck. I don't even know who I am. And I'm like, ooh, we got to work on those, because that's, we don't want to carry that for 5 or 10 years. This is why it's called menopause. It's pause.
It's a pause to reflect.
Pause.
And embrace the changes. And you do need people. I mean, I think we need guidance throughout our life. Like people need people. We all need each other. Thank goodness you and I have had each other as best friends, but also as, my naturopath, my doctor, and you've had me as your meditation teacher or coach or whatever, yoga and all that. And so we need our tribe. We have to have our tribe around us. So, you're going to give us some really good information today about hormones, and I'm going to do my best to, I'll just input when I can, but I mean, this is basically medical knowledge is going to be you.
Well, I think just talking about it too, because, there's a big emotional well-being communication needs to happen, because the body, is changing, it's shifting, and it's looked upon negatively, and it's not negative. This is a rite of passage, really, we're taking as women in our lives, and time to reflect on what's working, what isn't working anymore. And I often, jokingly say to people, okay, you don't feel like you're in your right mind, right? It's not even like your body, and all the things that are going on in our gut is affecting our brain. So we're not even eating the same foods that we should be eating when we're going through this. Our metabolism is changing. We're gaining weight. So, I say to people, okay, stop. Don't pierce, kill, tattoo, divorce anything, or buy any big ticket items when you're this indecisive and not in your body and mind.
And that's exactly the first thing that people want to do. They want to change the outside. The inside's feeling badly. And so they want to change the outside. So they want to get a divorce, or they want to, you know, travel the world in 6 months or whatever, because they're so uncomfortable on the inside. Their body's uncomfortable and their emotions are out of whack.
Yes, and whether, like a lot of people do get into conflict in relationships around, the 40s and 50s. And that's the time to really make sure you're balancing everything, because you don't want to come out the other end of all this and go, "Oh, I wish I had done this. I wish I had, used some bioidentical hormones. I wish I had spoken to somebody about how to deal with my anxiety." Whatever they're calling it, right? My anxiety. Well,
Hmm.
let's give that anxiety back into the pool. Let's just don't own that one. So,
Yeah.
just talking about it with somebody, getting a different language around it. But there's so much out there. There's so much.
So there's so much out there. So how do they know where to start?
Well, they start with looking at themselves first and going, okay, what's changing in my body, in my mind? What symptoms do I have? Like the dashboard on the car lit up, right? What lights are on? And then we start working on those. So, women understand that when they don't have a period for about a year, well, they're in menopause. But there's a perimenopause and there's perimenopause. There's women that think they're going into menopause and they're 35 or they're 39 years old. Well, their hormones are shifting. So instead of maybe going right into menopause, there's some herbs and there's some hormone balancing things that people can do so they don't go into menopause too young.
I remember when I first started going through this, I was 43 and I just married Satya, and I was in India, and I was like I was just struggling with some depression, and I've never been depressed in my entire life. And I was just like, and of course I didn't call it depression. I just was like, wow, what is wrong with me? I feel heavy. I'm not my positive self. I can't get excited about things. And I called you from India, and
Mm-hmm.
you asked me a couple of questions, and one of the things you said was, is your sight, your close up sight, like you having a problem reading? And sure enough, my vision was starting to change. You said, oh, it's hormones then. And so had me, and I just did what helped me was a Canadian brand that you turned me on to. What was it called? Do you remember? It was a Canadian brand, a female
It was female hormone balancing. So it
hormone
had some
balance.
like black cohosh and
Yes.
chastaberry and different things like that in it. I always tell people to, wherever you are in the world, seek out a naturopath or a holistic medical doctor or, you know, um, a coach of some kind that's a nutritionist. Like a lot of times they give you the insight into speaking to somebody, or they have a link to somebody who's know somebody who's done this, because it's not or done the natural hormones, right? Because it's not the common thing out there. People start into menopause, and right away, if they feel really out of sorts, they go to their medical doctor, and the medical doctor has there's always a drug, right? So years ago, there was Premarin, and women used Premarin, and then it was, cancer links, and people didn't have such fun with the estrogen dominance, and then that shifted and changed, and now we have Vagifem creams, and but there's also natural remedies, and there's compounding wellness pharmacies, and natural progesterone or plant-based estrogens that you can start there when things start shifting, because it's not the you know one cure all for everything. So we sometimes pick up progesterone and estrogen. They're plant based, and some women can get those in creams. And I think, remember, we were looking at Whole Foods one time
Hmm.
in Nashville, and I'm like, oh, yay, here it is. They got this here. Because some things, they're low dose, they're safe, but it's always good to be guided with somebody, because a lot of times there's the liver and the kidneys are overloaded. People aren't detoxing. Sometimes they're drinking a bit too much because they're going, I don't feel good, and I'm sitting home and I'm sad, and
Well,
these things happen.
that's the unhealthy go-to that people go to when they're not feeling well, is they'll either start taking some Delta 8 or some gummies, pot gummies or pot brownies, or drinking alcohol, having a glass or two of wine every night,
Mhm.
or go on antidepressants and anti-anxiety. I mean, that's usually what the medical doctor will tell them if they're not feeling, they're like,
Even for hot
yeah,
flashes, that's
yeah.
often
Wow.
recommended, but
Wow.
there's some beautiful remedies out there for hot flashes. Peppermint oil. Remember when we were in India, we were all rubbing peppermint oil on the back of our necks cuz it's hot. It even helps when you're just hot. But having sage oil, there's lots of natural remedies out there. And sometimes, you know, we're moving through a lot of things in midlife emotionally. We're moving through, kids are leaving the nest, our teenagers are getting hormones, we're losing our hormones. There's a lot going on, a
Hmm.
lot. And even dynamics in partnerships, people are wondering, is this what I want in my life? But first you got to work on yourself. You got to look at your cortisol levels, your oxytocin level. How much happiness are you experiencing in your life? What
Yeah.
joy? What's going on there?
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, I mean there are relationships that people need to get out of, abusive relationships, emotional or physical or whatever it is. But we're talking about the average person who just is going through a challenging period in maybe their relationship when they're in their 50s, and or beyond. Like you said, it can last 10 years or even longer for some women. And that you always look at, both of us, it's like
Hmm.
you always look inside first,
Well,
so.
yeah. Well, with that point, you're going to love this. It's when you look at, when we go through menopause and there's self-loathing, right? There's not much self-reflection going on. It's really,
Mm,
you're looking at your body, it's aging. Well, that raises your cortisol level. So you're
mhm,
releasing a stress hormone by the talk you give yourself. Oh, look
mm,
at your hair, look at your skin. And when you praise yourself, you actually release oxytocin, the
mhm,
happiness hormone, which helps serotonin, which is mostly produced in the gut, because when we feel good, we treat ourselves good.
mhm.
We choose good things often, eh?
And that's why I wore makeup all through COVID, even though I didn't see anybody, because I like it when I look at myself with makeup on. I like
Yes.
it when I look at myself with a tan. And so even though nobody's seen my naked body for quite some many years, I still like being tanned because I like to look at it tanned.
Yep. Yep. That's why we have these Saint Tropez. They should be a sponsor for us. We rub it on our skin, our little face gets a glow, and yes, because it's for you. It's for
Mhm,
you. What are you doing for you? That oxytocin is a happiness. It's your happiness hormone.
mhm,
We don't have a bunch of them. We have dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin, but then they have to balance out those hormones that we start losing in menopause. The estrogen starts to decrease. Progesterone, which is our mood regulator, we need progesterone. Women are like super women when they're in their last trimester of pregnancy because there's so much progesterone circulating in their body. It's
How do we
just amazing.
increase progesterone then?
Well, it starts to decline as we get older. So sometimes we buy natural, progesterone creams. Some of them are yam based. Some of them are compounded at a pharmacy. You get your doc, your naturopath, or your medical doctor who's totally supports the compounding hormone, but BHRT,
Mhm,
bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and they can write a script for a small amount of progesterone, and sometimes they give you a couple of safe estrogens that are in the cream. Some women need a little bit of testosterone, so the sex drive is decreasing.
mhm,
And what happens when we're intimate? An orgasm actually releases more oxytocin. Isn't that amazing?
mhm.
And I heard that from Dr. Anna Kabeka. That's not my quote. It's like, how do we find that happiness piece? And intimacy, I love this other piece that was describing men and women. It's like driving a car when it comes to sex. Men have the destination. They get on the highway. They go. They reach the destination. Women, We take the scenic route. We might pull off on side the road, take a few pictures, enjoy the view. It takes us a little more time.
Women, men are blowtorches that just have to light up and go, and women need warming up like an oven.
Or a kettle. Yes, a steam kettle. Yes.
Yeah, and it's about communicating to your partner then that that's what you need.
Absolutely. And women suffer with dryness and they don't share that with their partner a lot of times. They're embarrassed. And I hear that a lot in my office. And of course, I try and lighten it up with people and I talk about different things. And I'm like, people shouldn't be using Vaseline and that's like duct tape. You gotta rip that off then. Oh my gosh. But there's all kinds of natural things out there. People just have to research it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What about
Researcher.
coconut oil?
Yeah, fractionated coconut oil is lovely for women and men as well. So it's the slower, gentler approach as we get older. Like it takes a while to warm up. People, the more intimate, more positive people are with each other, just talking and sharing that release of hormones and feel good, that oxytocin starts to increase right away, which is why that's slow and steady and caring, just
Hmm.
authenticity. Yeah, the
Hmm.
fast the fast was in the 0 to 30, the 30 to 40 time, and it starts to change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more
Hmm.
slow and thoughtful and mindful in every way.
In every way. Yes, for sure. And even oxytocin is known to enhance optimism in our lives. We start feeling better about ourselves. So, it's all connected. It's so
Hmm.
interconnected. Yeah.
That's the thing is foods can affect. I mean, that's as we get older, um, foods, we're more sensitive to foods for the most part, right? Like I've become much more sensitive to different foods than I was when I was younger. And I just don't want to sacrifice how I feel
Hmm.
for an ice cream or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I just my energy and how I feel is too important to me.
Absolutely, which is why we've had the dirty dozen for how long now in our lives, those foods that tend to carry more toxins and they do affect estrogen in the body. And then we choose more of the clean 15, right?
What are
So,
the dirty dozen and the clean 15?
okay, you've never heard those?
Never.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the dirty dozen are strawberries, spinach, nectarines,
That's the
apples.
clean 15. That's not the dirty dozen.
That's the dirty dozen. Nope, that's the dirty dozen. That's why
Strawberries?
organic. Yep, they have to be organic.
Oh, you mean for
Yes.
pesticides, not that they're
Yes.
bad for you.
For those, no, no, they're not bad for you. These are the ones that when we are in menopause, we want to be really clean about because what they do is they inhibit certain toxins in some foods, inhibit a certain enzyme in the gut, and it triggers the reabsorption of the wrong kind of estrogen. That's the science. And so this is
So
why.
even organic strawberries I can't do?
Nope, nope, no, yeah, you can do organic strawberries. You just, when we're moving through menopause and we just don't want to increase estrogen dominance. And a lot of times we collect toxins from foods, pesticides, they act like um, estrogen like properties in our body. So we want to decrease those toxins because our liver and kidneys are filtering, well, our liver is filtering all the hormones and doing all the cleanup. And then the kidneys have to work along with the rest of the filtering systems to eliminate these toxins. So we're accumulating all day long. We need to be releasing toxins as well, which is
Hmm.
why the alkaline diet works so well. Why a lot of people do well with keto, green living, right? Because it's clearing toxins. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so back to
So
the
the
dirty
dirty
dozen. Sorry.
dozen
Hmm.
that means buy these organic when you can.
Okay.
Strawberries, spinach, nectarine, apples, grapes, peaches, cherries, pears, tomatoes, celery, potatoes, bell peppers. Okay, those are your dirty dozen.
Those are all foods I eat quite a bit of.
Yeah, so they have to be
But I
clean.
wash them really well or I have organic, yes.
Yep, perfect. Rinse them. Like people go, how do I rinse foods?
Hmm.
Well, put them in the sink. There's washes you can buy that
I
rinses
just use regular
pesticides.
dish soap.
That's all I do too.
Yeah.
And if there's some things that like have certain feel sticky or they've come from like I live on an island, so things come from who knows where.
Hmm.
I actually put all my produce in a sink and I put in half a cup of vinegar and I just rinse them all and rinse,
Rinse the vinegar
all
off
the
after.
gunk off there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But dish detergent is fine as well.
Hmm.
And your clean 15 are avocados, pineapple, cabbages, some corn, sweet corn, they say, onions, sweet peas, papaya, asparagus, mango, eggplant, honeydew melons, kiwi, cantaloupe, cauliflower, and broccoli.
Nice. And does that mean they don't have as many pesticides?
That's right. That those pesticides and they're not treated as much as the others.
Do you
So they
know that
don't collect.
I just took a picture at Well-Being that had the poster of all that, and I was going to ask you
Ah,
about it.
are you serious?
That's serious.
I know. I've had that for a long time in my office and they haven't changed these foods. They it's just that list hasn't changed. But
I always
strawberries,
knew, yeah, I always knew strawberries had a ton of pesticides on them. I always knew that, but the
yeah,
others, I didn't know about the others.
I love growing strawberries. That's
Oh,
why it's
me
so
too.
nice to have your garden and, some lettuces and your strawberries, the things that you eat a lot of yourself.
Hmm.
That's, have a little window garden, so, what we don't learn a lot about toxins. People go into menopause and hormonal imbalance, and they got this cortisol insulin kind of fight going on in the body.
Hmm.
And they're not told, how important the gut is with all this. Our gut, the brain gut connection, the
Hmm.
hormones that are involved. It's amazing. There's so much.
Hmm.
So how can someone do it all themselves? We need the
No,
guidance.
no, we need the
Food's been,
guidance.
yeah. I mean, food's been that's been my wheelhouse for the bulk of my life.
Hmm. It has because are so sensitive.
Yes. Yes, I am, and I mean, first half of my life, I didn't know I was celiac. And, all I was eating was wheat. And then I'm lactose intolerant. And, there's a few other little nicks and picks in there, but I feel so good. So, I don't mind living this way because I feel good.
Well, and also it's a mindset too. You focus on what you can eat and not what you cannot eat. And there are
Exactly.
so many things now, like even though, you and I have been doing keto for a while now, and there's just so many keto things out there now that never like have you tried the hearts of palm mash, the palm mash yet that are
No,
like
not
mashed
yet.
potatoes? Oh, I've got 6 boxes when you
I'll
get
have
here.
that when I come
Yeah,
down.
we'll have
Yay.
a piece of salmon with the hearts of palm mash on it. I try not to do too many packaged foods, but there are a couple of things. The ramen noodles, I've got ramen noodles.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if they have wheat in them or not.
Yeah. Some do,
They
some
might.
don't. Yeah.
I can't remember. I'll have to look. But these ramen are they're keto ramen noodles. And
It's just changing it up a little bit. Like I have my grandkids here this evening and they love meatballs and spaghetti. Like who doesn't? Okay, so we had turkey balls in pasta sauce and they all had spaghetti and I had cauliflower rice and it was
yeah,
delicious.
yeah,
It was so good.
yeah.
So, I don't mind that. And they're so used to my plate always being a little different. And then I have to be good though, because sometimes I get on them about the sugar. I'm like, you know how much sugar's in that drink? And they're like, "Mm." And then I go, oh, that's right. They're 8 and 6 years old. They clear out sugar really fast. After menopause, you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have to be careful with the sugars too, because we're going through, self reflection time. We want to be saying good things. We don't, even the good sugars in keto, you can have sweets and guilt free.
The monk fruit and stevia
Yeah.
and allulose and xylitol or not xylitol, erythritol. Yeah,
Erythritol. Yeah.
yeah,
Allulose. Yeah.
yeah,
Those are great.
yeah. Now I'm gonna have a keto bagel for dinner tonight with some cream cheese and cucumbers
Yum.
on it.
Good for you.
Yeah. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to make you some of my keto baking stuff. We had so much fun when you were here last time doing a lot of
Yeah.
baking together and making some keto fun
Yeah.
things. It's
It
always,
was really funny. There was one night she had discovered like caramel was, something I just loved. And I know lots of people that, but I don't eat much sweet, like processed sweet. And she goes, "Here, try this." And so I chew it and I'm going, "Oh my gosh, this is caramel." She goes, "It's guilt free. You can eat another one."
keto caramels. I got
I
them here
know.
for you when you get here.
I know. It's a good little treat.
Yeah, and I got
Yeah.
you little keto gummy bears too, waiting for
Oh,
you too.
and that's when I said, what the next night, she goes, "We gonna have a caramel?" I'm like, "Oh, not tonight. I just brushed my teeth." She goes, "There's no sugar in it. You don't even need to brush your
It's
teeth."
so true. Your teeth don't feel all weird after it. So, because my mom is so funny. My mom was saying my mom will not, after she brushes her teeth, she will not. My sister's like that too. I'm like, I don't even
Yeah.
care. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, with the keto stuff, I realized some of the keto sweets, because there's no sugar in them, your teeth don't feel all funky
That's so funny. That's a quick little thing when someone says, "How do I stop eating at night?" I said, "Just brush your teeth a couple of times."
and you won't want to eat again. Yeah, it is a willpower. It's like when you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, you will make the change. I certainly have had times in my life where I have not been disciplined, and the pain wasn't enough to be disciplined. And now the pain is enough. And
Yeah.
I'm very disciplined with my eating now. I never thought I would be this disciplined, but I also get
Hmm.
super creative with it too. And I, have a whole cupboard of keto stuff that I can almost make anything that I want, because Eddie's like, you want to have your little sweet, so figure out what you can do so you don't feel like you're missing out of anything.
Hmm.
See, it's like that, because I was talking to a friend of mine who's got some autoimmune problems, and I was like, you really need to try to have an appointment with Eddie when she's here. And she's like, yeah, but I know that she's going to tell me what to eat, and I'm not going to want to follow it. And I'm like, okay, if you want to go on feeling crappy, then
Yeah.
and she's just not, and she's so funny. She keeps jumping from diet to diet to diet to diet. She'll be keto for a while and not really strict keto, which keto I do have to be strict on.
Hmm.
And then she'll jump to something else, and every time she's like, and I recognize myself in it because I used to do this too. Every time she's like, this is it, this is working, and I'm like, I just give it 4 weeks.
Yeah. Because it boils down to, I've been at this a long time, over 35 years, and it's deprivation shouldn't come into the equation. Do
Yeah.
not deprive yourself. You have to be ready, because after 50, we often stall in certain areas. Metabolism stalls out, we slow down. The thyroid slows down. People start getting more autoimmune stuff. Disease starts to come in, right? There's less ease, there's more inflammation. So if we can look at, alkaline foods and eating clean and having fat as fuel, then we're also really enhancing brain health, body, overall well being. Health is everything. Every person I
It
talk to
is.
after the age of 50, and then you start talking to after 60, after 70, 90, health. All I want is my health.
Because
So
you can't do anything if you don't have your health.
well, no, you're really limited.
Hmm.
So your health, like movement, is so important. And, the connections we have and the people that we talk to. And I went through a divorce as well, and I was in my late 40s. And, I was a private individual, and a lot of people were surprised. But, you know, I really, as I was thinking these thoughts, this isn't working for me, which I thought those thoughts on and off over those years of being married. But in my 40s, I went, I got to make sure my hormones are balanced because this is a big decision. And they were. And even looking back now, I'll be 60 this year. So looking back, I go, yeah, people change. We change, and we have to do what's right for us. It's really important. And so hormones is a big piece. It's
Hmm.
huge, huge. And after the age of 50, because that's our wheelhouse right now, what we're talking about. And find the right solution for yourself. It could be a cream, it could be an herb, it could be a diet change, it could be a lifestyle change, a relationship change. Like, there's a lot.
Hmm. It's all about listening to your body, listen to your intuition, and finding your tribe.
It is. And saying good things to yourself, embrace the body you're in, love the skin you're in. It's what you got, it's your car, and it's driving you around, and be good to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, my BFF, I think that's a wrap for today. It was
It is.
another deep, deep dive.
Yeah. Be kind till we
Mm.
meet again.
Be well,
Be good.
be authentic,
Yeah.
be
Just
joyful,
Be joyful. Be happy.
and I agree with you, be
Mhm.